Hello humans, I'm the Alien Doctor, but you could call me Alien, and welcome back to another tutorial here on Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Today we are going to be taking a look at an early game Guardian farm. This is absolutely perfect if you've just started your world and you've got a couple of resources and you want to get some easy prismarine. It's also a great source of raw cod for food, and as you can see, it's also a good source of experience. As well as that, you will get the looting 3 effect applied if you have a looting 3 sword as well, so you'll get an absolute ton of stuff. It's super easy to build, super cheap. Let's actually get into how this farm works. So this farm is actually quite a simple farm in terms of how it works. So obviously we have an ocean monument like the one under here, and no, you do not have to remove all of the top part that I have removed. I've just done that because I was testing a couple of stuff. But what you do have to do is place in a ton of these pillars. So all of these pillars basically stop guardians from spawning in the other spawning spots of the Guardian farm. And then the only one that you don't put a pillar in is this spawn spot right here, because this is the spawn spot that this farm actually uses to actually get guardians. So the game won't spawn any other guardians anywhere else in this monument other than in this one spot right here, because there's simply nowhere else because all the others are blocked. So what will happen is a guardian will spawn in like that, and it will go in the water stream and then get trapped into that minecart, where it will then meet its doom in this trapdoor Trident killer. And as you can see there, what will happen is the items will actually fall below the minecart and into a water stream. So you can see here, I'm actually inside the system. The guardian spawns, it gets into the minecart, its drops then fall beneath the minecart and into this water stream right here. Now let's address this, the experience. Now there is a bug in the game where for whatever reason, sometimes experience, especially when it's being pushed around in water streams, will actually go somewhere else but appear in a completely different place. So what happens in this farm is the XP will go up this water stream and to the player, but for some reason it doesn't visually appear that way. So the XP visually appears down here, even though it's already gone up that water stream and into that. It's super duper weird. It's almost like XP just doesn't get affected by water streams when this bug's happening. I'm not quite sure why. Normally relogging fixes it, but you don't want to have to relog every time you've killed a guardian just to see its XP, if you get what I mean. So don't worry, the XP delivery on this farm does definitely work. It just doesn't look like it works. But I'll demonstrate it in a second. You'll be able to hear and see my XP bar rising, even though XP is invisible because of this weird bug. So as you can see here, I'm stood in the AFK spot and we are above the farm. The farm is running and that sort of thing. And we're just going to turn mob spawning on, and we should see the guardians actually spawn. Okay, there we go. So some have spawned and they're going into the Trident killers and stuff. Well, one of them's bouncing around. Most of the time that doesn't happen. There we go, some more have spawned, and some have in fact died. Now, take a look at my XP bar. You can see there it's on 17, and you know, it's just the XP bar isn't moving right now. However, we have got some drops, so in a second, we should start to see some experience, or hear some experience, come into our inventory. There we go, so we saw it just then. The experience is going into our inventory, even though we can't see it. And even though, I bet you, if we go down there, it looks like the XP is down there, when it actually isn't. So you can see here, this farm is working. It's just that XP is a bit weird, and it visually appears like it's down there, but really, it's actually in this water stream going into our inventory. We started on level 17, we're already on level 19, just from being stood here a little bit. So yes, I can confirm the XP delivery for this farm does work, and it's just the weird bug. So anyway, now let's talk about the credits for this farm and the disclaimer that I usually say and that sort of thing. So yeah, overall, this is a super simple farm. It's a really, really simple concept. As you can see, the guardians are literally just spawning, and then they're getting killed by the trapdoor Trident killer. So in terms of credits and that sort of thing, the original concept for this farm goes to JC Plays. On Minecraft Season 2, which is an SMP I play on, somebody called Perry built JC Plays Guardian Farm, and it uses a similar concept where you block off all the other spawning spots, and then you just use one for early game. Now, the reason this farm isn't just a complete replica of his farm is for a couple of reasons, and also why it's better than the farm that he built. So first of all, the guardians get killed almost instantly. They go into the Trapdoor Trident Killer and they just instantly die. In his farm, they get put into an item elevator or a water stream or whatever and go all the way up to the player that's AFKing at the top, where they're then killed in a Trident Killer. Now, the Trident Killer design he used for that farm is also one that allows the Guardians to bounce around and stuff like that instead of staying in a minecart, which also means his Trident Killer is less efficient than the one I have right here. Now, because of all of those things, it basically means this farm's more efficient because Guardians are being killed quicker and the mob cap is being cleared. So other than the concept itself, I did design this farm myself completely. However, I say this with every video, I may have accidentally copied somebody, or somebody may have accidentally copied me. You never know. Sometimes people are working on stuff at the same time. So no, I've not intentionally copied anyone, and hopefully no one's going to intentionally copy me. But of course, if I do find evidence to show that I have unintentionally stolen somebody's farm, then please do let me know, and I'll credit them in the description and that sort of thing if somebody has built this farm design and, you know, claimed it as their own before I have. But as far as I'm aware, this is all original stuff. And yeah, anyway, let's get back on to the video. So now let's talk about the rates for this farm. So in about 10 to 15 minutes, it will get you to level 30. In about 30 minutes, it will get you to level 50. And in about an hour, it will get you to 65 levels, or about that. Now bear in mind, all of these tests were done whilst holding a looting 3 sword. Because we're using a Trident Killer down there, we of course have the looting effect applied when we're holding a looting 3 sword. This farm is really designed to be used with a looting 3 sword alongside it to get the maximum rates possible. In terms of actual item drop, it produces about 4,000 items an hour, which looks like this entire double chest, this hopper back here, and then also some of the items in this chest. That adds up to almost 4,000. It's actually a little bit underneath 4,000, but we're rounding up by like 100. So it's 4,000 items an hour. Now, I am aware that there are other farms, such as nether portal-based farms, that will probably produce you much more. However, they actually require 2 players to AFK at, nether portal based farms, and to be honest, I know others do the same, will put nether portal based farms in a completely different category because they are just like the most efficient way to do anything. If you're looking for the most efficient way to do anything, then it's to have 2 players AFK at nether portal based farms. But not everybody has 2 players available to them. This is definitely your next best option, and these rates aren't bad, they're just bad compared to nether portal based farms. So now for the tutorial of how to build this farm. There will be a full materials list linked in the description for your convenience. But anyway, let's get into building this farm. So first things first, you're going to need to find yourself an actual ocean monument like the one I have here. And it was also a good idea to raid it as well. Of course, if you're in creative, then you can just use commands to do it, although it looks like I've already raided this one. And then obviously after you're raiding, you're going to have guardians just knocking around that will probably have spawned when you're raiding. The easiest way to get rid of these guys is just to walk away from the ocean monument, and then if you head back over there, then they should despawn. So I think the first thing that you're probably going to want to do if you're building this in survival is stop all those guardians from spawning because they're annoying and we don't like them. Now what you're going to need to do that is either load into a creative copy of your world and use a command block machine like I have down here. So we've just got this command. With all of these command block settings, you can pause the video and stuff if you want to copy that, and then a command block coming out of that just has all this stuff. I'm going to show you how to do it in survival, but if you do have a creative copy of your world or just the copy of the seed, then you can use these command blocks. And then just have another repeating command block that just does this command to kill !guardian, so it kills everything other than the guardian, and you can just do this in a repeating command block like I have right there. But what happens if you're doing this in survival? Well, that's a good question. So, and this is actually going to be the main way I would recommend you doing it. You don't really need to use command blocks unless you're not very good at marking out blocks and counting and stuff. But anyway, so you're going to grab yourself a locator map and make sure it's actually created above your ocean monument. You're then going to want to turn to the northwest corner. So obviously this direction is north and this direction is west. So we're going to want to head in between those to northwest. Now, if you go all the way down to your ocean monument, and I'm actually going to put this in my offhand just to help you out, then you can see right here, this is the far northwest corner of the monument. As you can see, there are no other blocks on the monument. Other than this one, this is the furthest northwest we can go while still touching the monument. Now you're going to want to go 2 blocks southeast diagonally. So that's 1, 2. Like this. And then once you've done that, you're actually going to want to mine all the way downwards through the ocean monument until you reach the floor, which is most of the time gravel. And then you're going to want to build up a pillar out of whatever solid block, going all the way up until you reach the surface, like so. This pillar is basically going to stop any guardians from spawning in this specific spawn spot, but we're going to need to mark out the rest of the spawn spots now. So for this, you're going to need quite a lot of temporary blocks and also temporary marker blocks as well. So coming up from the pillar that you have just created right here, you're then going to want to face east, and then you're going to want to do some counting. So coming off of the pillar that you've created facing east, you're going to want to build out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then on the 11th block, place a marker block. This can be a sea lantern or whatever you want. And to make it easier for you guys to count, I'm going to use smooth stone as my marker block, but you don't have to. And then continuing on in the east direction, we're going to do some more counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then on the 16th block, you're going to want to place a marker block again. And then continuing on east, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16th mark on a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the 10th block, place down another marker block. Okay, so now you're going to want to face south, and you're going to want to build some more temporary blocks for counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 marker block. And then coming off of this, you're going to want to turn so that you're parallel with the line you created earlier. And you should now be facing west. And you're going to need to build some more temporary blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then on the 10th temporary block, then we're going to go out again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. On the 16th, place a temporary block or a marker block, because these are all temporary blocks. Then we're going to continue west. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Temporary block. Okay, and then on the 16th block, place a marker block like I have there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 out, and then place a marker block. Now you're going to want to face south, and you're going to want to build out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and then on the 16th, a marker block. Then you're going to want to turn east and build out some more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then on the 11th, place a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And then 16th will be a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 will be a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10th will be a marker block. And now you're going to want to face south again and build some more temporary blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Marker block. Then you're going to want to turn and face west and then build some more marker blocks or temporary blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 10th will be a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16th will be a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16th will be a marker block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 will be a marker block. Now you're going to want to face south and build out in the south direction with some more temporary blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10th will be a marker block. Then you're going to want to turn east and build some more temporary blocks for some marker blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Marker block on the 11th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Marker block 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Marker block on the 16th. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then the 10th block will be a marker block. Now, once you have finished, your build should look something like this, just without all those command blocks there. Let's just get rid of those. There we go. So on screen right now, there will be an image I made that basically shows the distance between each marker block. That's not actually including the marker block, all those numbers. And that's also available on my Discord, which, by the way, if you need help with this tutorial, then please do join my Discord. There's plenty of people there, including myself, that will be able to help you. We have a dedicated help channel for things like this. But anyway, let's get on with the tutorial. So you're going to need to come to each marker block and basically make a pillar like our first one. So this pillar needs to go all the way from the surface all the way down through the actual ocean monument until you reach the floor like I have right here. You're going to need to make sure to do this beneath every single marker block, because all of these marker blocks represent an area that guardians could spawn, and by placing in these pillars, you're basically stopping guardians from spawning. You can use any solid blocks as long as it is actually a solid block and not something like a glass or sea lanterns or whatever. And obviously make sure to mine all the way through the monument, because if you miss out even one block, then a guardian could spawn there and it could completely ruin your rates. So as you can see, I have built that pillar beneath every single marker block, which obviously means guardians will not be able to spawn over here. Now for this farm, you are probably going to have to remove this top sort of crown section on this monument. So let's just do that real quickly. And there we go. We've got quite a lot of space to work with. Okay, so after you've done that, you may want to remove some of the temporary counting blocks that we used earlier as well. But anyway, you're going to head to your central spawning spot right here, and mobs in Bedrock Edition spawn on the northwest of a block. So we're actually going to make the water that they spawn in on the northwest just to stop guardians from actually suffocating walls or things like that, because that would not be very good, would it? So you're going to need to turn around so that you're facing the southeast, and on the two sides that are sort of facing southeast, you're going to need to build up 3 blocks on the pillar like this. And then you're going to need to fill that in so that you've made a 2x2 here. Make sure that your actual marker block is still the furthest northwest out of all the other blocks you've got here though, so it should look something a little bit like this. You can then remove 3 of the blocks that you used for your pillar, and then you can extend one of these walls like this, so it's now 2 blocks long, and then extend it again so that it's 3 blocks long, and then add another block here. Do the same on the other side as well. And you shouldn't need a locator map anymore, so I'm going to remove that from my offhand. Okay, so now what we're going to want to do on your actual pillar, place in 2 blocks here in this location, and then a 3rd one on those 2, like that. So you've got this 2x2. This is where the actual guardians are going to spawn. Now you're going to need to come underneath and place in a temporary block, then a block here. You remove the temporary block and then just wrap this around the sort of 2x2 that we've made here, so that it's 1 block below it like that. And then come around again so that you've now got this sort of shape. And you can also fill in your wall like so. Okay, so your farm should look something like this. You're going to need to come to these diagonal 4 blocks that are diagonal from your actual spawning spot and build up by 3, like so. And then you can actually remove the 4 blocks that we just built up on down here to save resources because you no longer need them. Okay, so now you're going to want to come to either one of the sides of the actual water chute, or what will be the water chute, it doesn't matter which side, and extend one side of it like that. And then you're going to want to head over to the other side and do the same thing. Basically everything that we're doing is symmetrical, and then you should end up with a sort of arrowhead shape like this. Okay, so now you're going to want to come to one of your walls and extend them by 1, and this actually needs to go 1 block lower than it did before to create this sort of shape. And then we're going to need to add 2 blocks at the top in those locations, and then come around to the other side and do the same thing again, and then 2 blocks here. Okay, so next you're going to need to come to one of these wall sides, and you're going to need to place a temporary block here followed by a solid block here. Remove the temporary block, build down by 1, then across by 1, and then down again to extend it like that, and then another block here like that, and then place a block on here and here, 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 and here, and then also in those locations, and then come all the way up to the top and then place a block up here on top of this. This may look a little bit confusing, but this is just like the most easiest way to do it in terms of resources, because this is meant to be quite an early game friendly farm. And then you're going to need to extend these walls like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. And then you're going to need to come around and do the same thing on the other side. So temporary block here, remove that block, 1 underneath it, add 2 more on the side, and then 1 right here. And then just like a temporary block here or something, solid block here, remove that temporary block, go down by 2 more, then extend this across here, like that, and place in blocks in all of these locations. And then once you've done that, so it should be looking symmetrical. This is a very symmetrical looking build. You should place a block here and a block here. And then I would actually recommend getting glass. You don't have to use glass because this is where your bubble column is going to be, and just filling in these locations like that. Now you can either use sponges or you can use just solid blocks to fill it up and then remove them again, but you're basically going to need to drain this area, and it should create some sort of box, because what we've created should stop the water from flooding in if you've done it right, which it has. So now what we're going to do is come all the way down here onto this bit, place a temporary block here, and then a piece of packed ice here, remove this temporary block, and then place packed ice until it goes up here where we place the glass for your water column. And then on the actual block where the water column will be, place a piece of soul sand, and then 4 blocks of packed ice actually coming across that, so that it covers up the hole where your actual item stream will be. And underneath here, you're actually going to need to place in some blocks as well, just to make the items sort of trapped in there. There we go. So now, as you can see, we have the sort of area where your water stream will going to be, and all these items, when we place water, will go into this soul sand. So now you're going to want to come back to this 2x2 where the actual guardians will spawn, and place water in the far corner, and then a button here as well as a button here, and then the same on the other side as well to stop the water from actually flooding into there. And then place a piece of water on top of your ice in your water stream, and then do the same for the other side as well. And then next to your soul sand, place 2 buttons here as well, so that it stops the water from actually flooding into your bubble column. And then you can place glass, or well, I guess here you can actually just use solid blocks because you can't see into it anyway, and just build them up all the way like that. And maybe put glass on top, it's really up to you, but there we go. So just from the top view, you should now have something that looks like this, and from this angle, it actually looks a little bit like a heart. So you're gonna wanna head down here and then head over to one of the areas above your actual water column and get out your trapdoors. Place 2 trapdoors on this wall above your water column and actually open them or close them, depending on how you want to look at it, so that they're like this. Then on the blocks above, place 2 more trapdoors, and then on those trapdoors, and you're going to need to crouch to do this, place trapdoors on the trapdoors, and then also flick them up as well, like that. And then we're going to need to do the same for the other side as well. There we go. Okay, so you're now going to need to get out your rails and minecarts, and you actually may need to temporarily block off this top water up here to do this. But you're going to place in a rail and then a minecart on top of it, and then push that minecart into the water so that it just gets pushed up against that trapdoor, and do the same so that there's 2 here as well. And then when you come to the other side, you're going to want to do the same thing, but you may need to place another rail to redirect that rail, like so. There we go, and you should have 4 minecarts in total, and sometimes you may have to do a bit of messing about to get it the right orientation so that it actually is in the water stream. Oh my goodness, why is this being so hard? Okay, there we go, there we go. So this isn't necessary, but I would make sure that you actually have your original pillar still all built up and stuff, just in case anything weird happens or they change it in an update or a bug where for some reason guardians start spawning below. And that's more of a future-proofing thing more than anything else. It's not actually necessary to have the pillar beneath your guardian farm, but you know, just in case. So now we're going to work on the actual AFK spot for this farm. So you're going to need to stand on the same level that your redstone dust is on, and going up from here you're going to want to build up 38 blocks. So starting with these glass blocks that you've already placed, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. And there we go. And if you're like me, and this redstone is on Y level 62, then the top of the glass pillar that you just made should be on Y level 100. You can now extend these glass pillars all the way to the top as well, because this will of course be your bubble elevator. So now you're going to need to fill this water column with, well, water, because it's a bubble column and we need bubbles. Now, you can't just put one water source at the top. As you can see, if I just demonstrate here, that won't actually create a bubble column because all of these need to be source blocks. There's a couple of ways that you can do that. The first one is to replace your soul sand with dirt temporarily, then build up kelp like this. And then at the bottom, you can then place back your soul sand. And as you can see, that's turned all that water to a source block. You could do this all the way where you place your water actually at the top. Or alternatively, what you could do is get some ice and just any pickaxe that isn't a silk touch pickaxe and actually just mine down the ice. Because as you can see, when you mine ice, it actually makes solid water source blocks. Or if you're in creative or just have a lot of water buckets, then you can just sit in the bubble column and then spam your right click button, and then that will just place enough water for you and it will automatically move you up. But obviously, chances are you're not in creative and you don't have a ton of water buckets to waste on this because, I mean, it's just easier to do it one of those other 2 ways that I showed you. Now, be careful not to do that where you actually place water on the top there because that will not end well for you. Okay, there we go. So you should now have a massive bubble column that heads all the way up to y equals 100. Now, we are actually going to have to make this a little bit higher, but I wanted to stop here because this is where we're going to add an AFK platform. So you're basically going to want to build out from this and just try and line yourself up so that you're directly above that block there where the guardians will obviously spawn, which I think I am. So let's just place glass. Yeah, okay, we can see there I am directly lined up with the block below as where the guardians will actually spawn. And we're just going to leave a glass block there. This block right here is where you're actually AFK. So you can do really any type of storage you want. That doesn't matter. But if you want to do my storage, then you're obviously going to need to build up your bubble column a little bit more. And I would actually recommend building this 6 blocks up from the same level that you're actually AFKing on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like so. And then on the top one, replace this piece of glass with packed ice and just make that wrap around here until you actually get to in line with the AFK spot. And then once you're in line with the actual AFK spot, I would recommend building 1 piece of packed ice out here and then a temporary block here and here and here, and then 2 more blocks like that. You can now destroy all of these temporary blocks. And then just place in a bit of glass over here, just so that nothing actually falls out. There we go. And then the same for over here. And then just surround this ice in glass. or any solid block. It doesn't have to be glass really, or not a solid block, like obviously we're using glass here. But yeah, this is just to make sure your items don't escape or anything like that. And then there we go. You're going to need to place in some water along with some buttons right now. And when you're actually at the top, place in a block here and then water on top of that block. That way the water will actually flow like that. Place in a button here so that the water doesn't flow off the edge and ruin your redstone by the looks of things. Oh dear. And then you can destroy this block that you placed the water on and then just fill this bubble column or bubble tube or whatever you want to call it with water, so that there we go, it's now should send items all the way up. Now you can test that this works by just temporarily opening one of these trapdoors and dropping an item through. You should see that it then ends up in the water stream going all the way up to the top. And then in a second we'll actually build some chests and stuff so that you can actually collect these items. But if that was a piece of experience, it would be in our inventory right now, which is what this section is for. Okay, and then in terms of the actual chest sorting items and stuff, there isn't a ton of space that you could do it. If you wanted to, you could like make the item tube wrap around like this, but I'm just gonna build a simple one here. So you're gonna need to place a temporary block here, a chest here, and here, and here, and here, and basically all of these locations that I'm placing them in right now. And of course, you're going to need to empty this out every so often, but this should hopefully be enough chests, at least for a little bit. And then place hoppers in the backs of all of those chests. Then go ahead, place 2 rails on top of those hoppers, and then 2 hopper minecarts. And whoops, we actually need to place some glass or just a block here, like that. You can then destroy the rails underneath. And I would also recommend just placing glass or something around the backside and the front so that they don't get nudged out or something. And then there you go, you have some storage, although that chest that we placed there is actually completely useless because of the glass. There we go. I guess what you could actually do is remove that glass if you wanted to. I mean, you can build your own storage. It really doesn't have to be exactly how I've done it. And obviously your own XP delivery as well. That's all up to you depending on what resources you have available to you at the time. So after you've built whatever storage you want, and let me just say this again, you do not have to build the same storage that I have built. I built completely different storage at the one I showcased at the start of the video. It literally does not matter what storage you build as long as the XP has some way to actually get to you, which is why we're bringing up this massive thing in the first place. So heading to the bottom now, one thing to bear in mind about tridents and trident killers is that when a mob is killed by a trident or a trident killer, it will only drop experience if the player that threw the trident is online. So if you're building this on a multiplayer server, you may want to let other people know that to actually get experience, they need to throw in the tridents themselves. If the player that threw the tridents isn't online, then the mobs will not drop experience. And that also is the same for when the player is holding the looting 3 sword. It needs to be the player that actually threw the tridents that's holding a looting 3 sword to have the looting effect applied. But anyway, what you're going to want to do is throw in your tridents onto these bottom 2 trapdoors like that. And the area that you're sort of aiming for is this top sort of section here. It does work on the majority of the trapdoor, but that's just the section I always kind of aim for, and it always sort of works. You can place it too far back here. You can't really place it too far forward unless you get it on these trapdoors. But anyway, if you flick on this lever, then the trapdoors should start flapping really loudly, but more importantly, you should also see that the tridents have now aligned themselves. If you actually head up to your AFK spot, and you may want to get some scaffolding or ladders or something, and then if you're in creative, actually enable mob spawning, then you should start to see any second now some guardians spawn. There we go. So some spawned after a couple of seconds, and yeah, that's actually quite a decent amount in there. So congratulations, you have now completely fully built this farm. What you may want to do is, if you haven't used glowstone or sea lanterns or something for your marker blocks, is to actually place slabs on top of them like that so that no mobs will spawn, but that isn't necessarily necessary. And you're also going to want to remove all of these solid blocks, or well, once again, you don't have to remove all of your counting temporary blocks, You can keep them if you want to. It does look a lot nicer in my opinion if you remove them though. But anyway, that is up to you. So to actually use this farm, you're going to want to make sure mob spawning is on, of course. You're then going to want to flick the lever at the bottom and then using a ladder or something, head over to the top of this farm and just stand at your AFK spot. Levels and drops will start coming through if I had mob loot on because I just turned it off. But yeah. Overall, this is quite a nice and simple little farm that's really easy to build early game and that sort of thing.